Hello. So, welcome to the last Body Love chat tonight with Nicole O'Neill. While I am waiting for Nicole to join, I thought I would give you guys an update on who I am and what services Mend offers. My name is Amanda Bicking, for anyone who does not know me or heard one of these before. And hi, Nicole. And what I do is styling and body love services and coaching. And so, information resonates with you or you have any type of interest in having styling or some body confidence work done. Hi, Nicole. It's just giving everybody an update on me here at the beginning. So yeah, if you have any styling needs or body confidence work, one of my favorite offers that I've been talking a lot about right now is the 30-day style journey. And I love offering this one to people because it's a little bit more of a deeper dive into your style than what I do with the style edit. This one, you get your measurements, you get a body shape. I'm going to say assessment, but really it's a celebration about what things work for you. We go co-shopping and you get 30 days of journal prompts and meditations sent directly to your inbox. And everything included in the style edit too. So theme boards, Pinterest, the whole gamut. So I love it. I love doing this. And I think anybody else that's feeling the call to that would too. And then with the holidays kind of coming up too, I thought I don't have a direct link to book, but you can always DM. I'm up for helping style or put together an outfit for photos, for parties, occasions, that whole thing, which is kind of fun because we have Nicole here tonight. That one aspect of the many things you do is photo shoots. So I like to start this off, Nicole, with letting you introduce yourself, letting people know where to find you, the work that you do before we dive into all the details.
Okay. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay. So I call myself a soul level alchemist. So for people who don't know what that would be, I help women and guide them into healing traumas, rewiring old patterns, and really uncovering their most empowered self. And I'll give a little background. I got here because I had complex PTSD from childhood, and then I also had situations in my adult life that were the same. I had really severe PTSD after the Boston Marathon bombing, and I went on this like really intense healing journey over the years, um, and then it just kept coming to me, and I was being nudged and nudged and nudged to help other people heal from these same types of things. So I work a lot with childhood experiences and trauma. I also feel like I'm called to take the weight out of the word trauma because people heal trauma and they're like, oh, that's not me. Like that means like war or something really big. And it's not true. We all have trauma. We all have been collectively going through traumas in this last 18 months. And it's not this big bad word. It's actually it's simply a reaction that happens in your nervous system that creates patterns that are stopping you from living in your highest potential. So that's the way I like to describe it. And so the ways I do that is I work one-on-one with clients, like really getting into their specific experiences, sort of going into the memories, going into the feelings if we can't access memories, clearing them out, rewiring those patterns and releasing them, and then creating some activation to like this new way of being that's out of that pattern. Does it happen immediately? No. And does it mean it will never show up again? No, because that's just how it is. The deeper it is, it can keep showing up, but you have the tools and you have a lot more ease working through it when it does show up. So that's one way I work with people, taking one-on-one clients. And then I also do retreats they're called Adventure and Soul. So I love to travel, and I didn't want to create just a retreat where we just do healing work or like do yoga. Like I wanted to explore, see new cultures, immerse ourselves in that, and discover the land, hike, like really just do a bunch of amazing experiences and also sprinkle in that healing work throughout. So my first one is this weekend in New Hampshire, and I have one launching next month for May. And that is going to be really limited and unbelievably amazing. I can't even describe how excited I am about that one. So, so people want to follow me right here, Soul Healing Sisterhood, and join my email list. Those are the two best ways to follow me on
Yes.
Instagram and join my email list, which you can find that through the link in my bio. That's how people know what's going on. And then my last thing, which you sort of mentioned, is I've been a photographer. I was a photographer before I was a healer, and I decided I wanted to merge the two. So I started doing these soul sessions, which if you want to see one, you can go to one of my last post. And it's about doing this healing and activation with people to bring them into their highest self and into their soul and have them connect there and see what that part of them wants for a photo session, where they see themselves, what they're wearing, how they're embodied. And then that creates like this healing journey that happens, because usually it's something that is there's some resistance. And I'm sure Kylie would be okay with me sharing this. There was some resistance around her wearing a crown and being like a queen, a badass queen. And I was like, oh, I see this for you. Like, let's do the integration and get this, and she did. And by the time we got to the session, she was ready and she had so much fun and enjoyed it. And it's beautiful to witness somebody actually loving having their picture taken, because most people don't, and to fully embody their true essence. Like you could see it just came out of her. It was like pouring out of her, just her essence. And that's due to that healing that we do beforehand. So it's really special.
I love that. There were like so many things you said that I want to hit on before we dive into like you and your body story, because I think there was good nuggets in there. The first thing that resonated with me was what you're saying about like doing the healing work doesn't mean that that thing is like cured or solved, or that it won't come back up, or like that it's just like you're good from then on. I think that's really important to say, because I think that there's messaging out there of I'm going to heal you and it's going to be great. And sometimes in our world that we're into, and I'll help you make a lot of money too, right? And I think that can be dangerous. That can be hard, because there's going to be triggers or things that can set off certain things. And I know I experienced that in my life, whether it be body image stuff. Just this past week, I had triggers come up that I was like, where did that come from? So I was like, I think it came from my photo shoot, but I actually thought those photos were amazing. So like, where did that come from? Or even just like, I'm a very fear-based, like root chakra gets activated type of person. So like it comes in cycles. But I think for me, a lot of the healing is like learning to look at it, or learning maybe different ways I want to look at it or think about it, instead of it being like all consuming.
Yeah, absolutely. And the way we have to think about it is, so I'll tell you that I healed from the situation when I was at the bombing a lot quicker. Like, not to say that there's absolutely nothing in there that's still there, but like it's crazy how much I healed from that, and how it doesn't get triggered by things that I would think would trigger it. Like even still, I still have like these like moments where I'm like, wait, how come nothing's happening? Like,
I've had that happen with a few things too. Yeah.
Like big world things, like violent type of things used to trigger it very easily. And so I'm like, oh wow, okay. But I also started healing that right after it happened. Like I knew immediately. I was like, oh, this isn't staying with me. This isn't my story. And I can heal this. And you have to remember that for most of us, and Amanda, hi Amanda. She is a wonderful nutritionist, and she so the same with our physical bodies. When we've damaged our physical bodies by like all the things we've done to it over the years, just like with trauma, it's been there so long, it's so deep and imprinted that of course it's not just going to go away after like one healing session. Like you can like that's unrealistic. And like you said, having that awareness alone is so key as you move forward, because then you don't get caught up in the patterns, and you don't get caught up in just like overwhelm and I don't even know what this is, so I'm gonna do a bunch of unhealthy things like don't serve
Right.
me.
Right.
You're able to look at it and then be like, okay, what do I do now? What is this? And how do I move through it? And then you gain more and more tools to do that. So
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
journey.
It is. It is. And I was thinking about um, your experiences that you're leading to and how you're saying you didn't want it to just be a retreat with just healing. You want it to be this bigger experience. And I hear what you're saying, but I also was like, sometimes I think the experience is
It is
healing in
healing.
itself, right? And even just like the photo shoot you were describing, like you started with the healing, you talked about the higher self, but like being able to step into it and have the experience and being in it is like healing too. So I think you are combining things really beautifully in like a bigger way that just like this whole experience sounds like it just like takes you out of your day too, right? And like gets you out there and open and thinking about it. I thought I just
Yeah,
wanted to comment on it.
absolutely. You know,
Yeah.
because I think for me, I had some very deeply healing experiences going to Italy. And
Yeah.
there's something about connecting with more simplicity and like the way the culture is in the at
Yeah.
least in the places I go, not maybe in the cities. Cities are cities, but
Yeah.
you know, in this slowing down and connecting to, you know, you're at the sea and you can go hiking to the vineyards and you can do all these things and just connect with that energy, and that in itself is healing. And then if you add on some healing, some intentional healing work to it,
Perfect.
it's like, wow, what can happen.
Yeah. And
So
you do a photo shoot there too, right?
we
I
do
mean,
a
you're,
photo shoot, we tie it all
yeah,
in, so
it's
and it's
so good.
magical because it's Italy. And
I just want to, yeah, I want to go someday. That sounds so good. Yeah. Um, yeah. And I love that you and I are in this similar mashup, right? Where we're taking something that's about portraying beauty or art or something like that and like having the healing. And I don't know if you felt this, but for me, it's been really hard to wrestle with something really tangible and let's say like art driven, so in my case style and healing. And even though like it seems the story does go together when I think of it, it can be really challenging for me to like show how they go together, to like talk about the healing part of it. I don't know if you've had that come up either, or if you just felt them naturally come together.
I did for a while. I like when
Yeah.
I was first being really pushed, it was before the pandemic started, and I was kind of being just nudged and nudged and nudged. And I was like, and I was doing them separately. So I was
Yeah.
very like specific about it. I was like, well, I'm gonna work with photographers on their business and like healing some stuff so they can charge more and things like that.
Yeah.
And then I'm also gonna do photography over here.
Yeah.
And then I remember I started working with a coach, and probably around like April last year, all of a sudden in one of our sessions, I was like, yeah, so I think I'm supposed to like take my retreats and my coaching and healing and photography, and it's all supposed to come together. And I'm just like, it's all starting to like form, like
Yeah.
I'm getting it. And she was just kind of, it was almost like, I've been waiting for you to get here, and I'm glad you are. and,
Here we go.
and
Yeah.
it's taken a little more time. I mean, it's been like, it's probably the last year that it's just kind of really formed. And I would say the beginning of the summer is when it really just all, I could feel it. Like I
Yeah.
stopped having that kind of like, does this work and how is it going
Right.
to work? So it did take some time for sure, but um, it's amazing. I think there's so many ways that we can, especially with creativity, creative
Right.
things that we can tie into healing. Like art therapy has been a thing forever, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
there's so many things we can tie in, but we get kind of caught up, I think, in our heads about it.
Exactly.
Instead of just dropping in and being like, okay, how is this supposed to be? Like it's
Yeah.
because it's so much easier than we let it be. Right?
Right, right. Yeah, of course. Well, and I think for me too, there's so much, and there still is to some degree, but definitely at first, like being scared about like talking about how it comes together too, and like maybe wanting to lean more into the tangible because I'm like people will get it then, right?
Yeah.
Versus like people might not get it. But
Well, that's something that
um,
Beth and I have talked about, like how healing is actually kind of hard to sell, like to
yeah, yeah,
to get people to hop on board because it's kind of like, whoa, what?
exactly.
I don't know if I want to do that. So it's, but I think that, like I said to you when we did the podcast, like I was like, this is something I never thought of, and absolutely, it makes so much sense. Like it's like, especially around style and the body, like having somebody that is going to help you like in the healing process of like, oh yeah, I can wear these things and this actually looks good on me and I can
Yeah.
venture out into other colors, and that makes so much sense to me because of my own journey. But like, people, how many times do people like change their outfit like 50 times before they leave the house and they've got all their clothes thrown up around their bed, right? It's like,
Yeah.
and there's a
It's such
story
a,
behind that. There's healing that's needed,
yeah.
before that. So,
It's such an identifier of like who we are, even if we're the type of person that says like, I don't care about clothing and style and all of that, and maybe you just put something on, it's an identifier of how other people see us too. And so there can be a lot of vulnerability there. There can be just even things like, for me, there was stuff that pops up every once in a while, but stuff that stuck around for a long time about like being cool enough, like, or like using clothing as a way to, I think I said this in one of the other ones, like use my voice when I was in high school, when I was so quiet and so shy and so scared to like speak up, but I could like play with that a little bit, and it was like easy for me, or something that felt lower risk, even though like everybody's gonna be looking at you when you dress a little bit differently, but it's something I could play with. And then of course, anything that's on our bodies, if we have anything just even swimming in there a little bit about body image, is going to have potential to flare up. So I don't know. I think it has the power to just, like you said, if you go through a million outfits, to just really change your day and how you want to feel and how you show up, and like putting that conscious effort to it. So yeah, but
yeah.
it's sometimes hard to talk about because sometimes it's easy to dismiss, right? Like,
Yes.
who cares about style, right? We're all working
Yeah.
from home anyways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who cares? Yeah.
Yeah. I only need something. I don't only need to look good right here.
Yeah, for sure. Um, so do you feel comfortable like giving, kind of diving in whatever feels good? Do you always say to people, share whatever you want, whatever you don't want is fine, but giving some background on your body journey, and
Yeah,
maybe where you've come
absolutely.
and where you are now?
Absolutely. I have always, I guess, like struggled with my appearance and my weight since I was young. And looking back, when I was like in high school, when I was doing all of the most unhealthy things, like
Mm-hmm.
eating only salad every day, like
Yeah.
once a day, and not eating anything else, or taking diet pills, or all of those different things. Mind you, I wasn't moving my body as well. Like, I was like,
Right.
like instead of moving my body more and learning how to do that, like, I went to these other things. And looking back, I'm like, I can't believe you were even doing this. Like, why were you doing this? Like,
I know.
you didn't look overweight. Like,
Right.
but there were
Right.
just those perceptions, like, some of my friends were like really skinny, and I always was like so jealous. And how come they can eat whatever they want, and like, so I need to not eat to
Right.
get there, right? Um, and and when I was in high school, I had a flatter stomach than I ever did, even when I was eating.
Oh
So
yeah. When I see photos of
it's
myself,
so
I'm
crazy.
like,
Like, you look back
yeah,
at that age and you're like, why was I beating myself up so much?
yeah,
And I've had like this roller coaster journey in adulthood. And I so I'll right now I am at one of the higher weights I have ever been. And I can tell you that there's been 3 times where I've been like at close to this weight. And that was when I was taking care of my grandmother who had Alzheimer's when I was in my early 20s for about 5 years, after the bombing. And now after 18 months of craziness and all
right.
kinds of things, right? Um, and so that can be frustrating at times, but it's also like, especially with the work I do, like I'm just like, okay, like I know what this is. Like
Right.
this is trauma. This is exactly how, when I was younger, my family's all about the food. We come from this big Irish Catholic family, and it's like meat and potatoes and food, just food, food, food. I remember one time my grandmother, when she had Alzheimer's, she took a fall when my uncle was with her, and then she got lost. And
Mm.
she had like wandered away from him, and she was lost at night, and it was very like, it's
Oh,
a
so
big deal.
scary. Yeah.
And then they walked into the house. I lived with her, so they walked into the house and they were like with like 3 pizzas, and they were like, she just needs to eat. Like food fixed everything, right? And so And not to say that food is bad. Like, I don't feel that way. I did
Yeah.
feel that way for a long time. Um, but it was like you go towards the like really heavy like comfort food stuff and just eat as much as possible and binge and emotional eat. Um so that's sort of where I am now. Except I have a different view of it than I did at those other
Right.
times. You know, I tell my body I love it every day. I really, when I hear myself getting down on it or criticizing myself, I then turn to love because, and I thank it. Like you have got like, it might not have been the way that we really needed to get through with things
Yeah.
that have been going on, but this is your way. Like, this is your way to protect me. Um, and so I think that's really important to remember at times like when it's under stress that we, either gain or lose weight, because we all have different, stories in that. Um, and I also think that, I'm happy. I love that people like I feel this pressure sometimes. I love the whole body positivity movement. I love everything about it because we have needed to get here for so long. And it's so nice to see, and sort of building healthier relationships with food, and what's healthy and not healthy and all of the things. But for me, it's sometimes hard because I know that this isn't the body that I feel best in, and
Yeah.
that is my most energetic and strong body. And so sometimes that's hard for me because there's some, not all, but there are a few things that I see where they're like, well, you should just accept where you are and just, you don't have to worry about it. Don't work to
Right.
like do anything about it. And I'm like, I don't know if that's it. Because I also, in this whole process, and I believe rooted in my childhood experiences, is major digestive issues. And so I've been dealing with those for about 10 years. And that's another factor, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, no, I have to actively do some things to like get my body back to feeling really good.
Yeah. Well, and it's not like if you, this is maybe a poor example, but like you hurt yourself otherwise, like broke your arm or whatever, that you would just be like, I accept this, right? Like I think it's like, for me, what I've kind of discovered is that works for me is that I've noticed where my body like naturally seems to like to be. So there's like moments where it's heavier, there's moments where I've probably tried really hard to be a lot thinner. And it always kind of like, there's always kind of like a sweet spot of where it seems to like to be. And for me, I'm like, okay, like maybe that's what is neutral for me, or that I'm accepting of, is like, this is kind of its natural state. Even with like my photos, there's photos of like the back of me. And those ones were, I was a little like, I was like, I have really broad shoulders, I have a broad back. And I was like, that I have to accept. That's like not going to change. That's not health related. That's just
Can't
how
change
I
it all.
am. Like, it's fine. It's fine. Um, but I think it's all the balance. And I put that one post that was like, sometimes just saying you need to love yourself is bullshit. Cause yeah, like just being like, oh, just accept it, or oh, all you have to do is have self-care, is we can't just snap our fingers and have it happen.
Yeah.
Right. But we
And it's,
can
go ahead,
we can
sorry.
like reflect, or like think of like what you're saying, like we can notice like what's the root of it, or what would be feeling like your best self. I think that's what it comes down to, like what makes you feel like your best self. Even if you think being uber skinny is going to make you feel like that, some of us have probably had experiences where we realized it wasn't, because we were like so anxiety ridden. So like, what are those moments? That's at least what I'm trying to work with these days.
Yes, absolutely. And I will say that like, so I think there's also a piece where, so for me, I went, even though I was up and down and up and down, and I did have points where I felt like I was like at like the right weight for
Yeah.
me. I'm not really like aware. I don't know like numbers on the scale. I just haven't ever been. And technically, when I was at my most energetic and like where I felt the absolute best of my life, I was like considered overweight, like by like 10 pounds. It was ridiculous. So I was like all muscle, like not all muscle. I definitely had some
Yeah.
fat. I did not have a flat stomach, which was totally fine.
Yeah.
Um, but I didn't realize that was so, even though I had gone through times where I was taking care of my body more, I wouldn't say that I was doing all the things, right? Like, oh, I'll just eat some like the Weight Watchers meals and incorporate those into my life, and those types of things. And I would go out for a run every night, and I would do those things, and I hated running. Like I wasn't even doing things that I enjoyed.
Yeah.
And then I would feel like I was like getting and feeling better, but it still wasn't the same as after about a year after the bombing. I got really, really sick. My digestive system, my nervous system, everything just shut down, and I couldn't eat anything. I was so sick. I couldn't eat any food. And so for 4 months, there was like literally a handful of things that I could eat without feeling really sick and like super bloated. And I dropped a ton of weight. So I had gained a lot of weight in that year. And then I dropped that plus some, and to a point where looking back, I was too skinny for my body. Like I have broad shoulders too. And I like looked at myself and was like, it doesn't fit. Like it's not,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Yeah.
look
It's not
right.
like proportioned. Yeah.
Yeah. And, but I just wasn't able to eat. So it was like just kind of the circumstances of the time, and working out helped me. Like I also worked out because it helped me stress wise and with the
Yeah.
anxiety and things like that. And then I started on this healing journey where I started this whole protocol to heal my gut. And I started like lifting weights at the gym and gaining some weight back. And then I got to this, I feel like my sweet spot is like in like a 10, almost 10 to 15 pound range. Like, and I felt better than I'd ever felt in my life. Like, I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't actually know that this was possible. Like, I would wake up every morning and like jump out of bed and just be like, all right, ready to start the day. And like, go, 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 go. And I was like, this has never happened before. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I just had, it was just different. And looking back, I can see how I was truly just loving my body by what I was putting in it, still enjoying things like at the time I had to have different versions of like desserts and stuff, but still having things, like sugar's not bad, and like, making sure that I didn't fall into that. But I was also doing workouts that I really loved, instead of like, I should do like tons of cardio because that will help me lose weight or do whatever, keep the weight off. And instead it was like, I actually really like weightlifting and I like going hiking. So those are the things I'm going to do. And my body was so happy with me because I was doing those things. Plus I was doing the inner healing work, and it was just like like all of it together, this whole like holistic approach to actually loving my body in a different way, was amazing. And I was that way for about 4 years before my digestive system kind of started to go downhill again. And then we got here. But but the interesting part is that when I lost all that weight, everybody was, I got all these compliments, right? And people were like, you look so great and everything, you look great. And it's like, you're just like, okay. And then we're like, what are you doing? Like, what's this diet you're on? And I was like, I can't eat. Like, this is not, I'm not on a diet. I'm not trying to lose weight. And then even when I was gaining weight again, people were like obsessed with like I had this one girl who like would always like feel my arm because like my arms were really strong, and yet they didn't look like, they weren't like defined when I would just like have it hanging by my side. Like I still had big arms. Like I'm not a tiny girl. So, but she would always feel them, and she was like, I want your arms, and oh my gosh, and what types of foods do you eat? And I'm like, this is crazy. This is crazy. Like I started to actually really see it from a different perspective than I had when I was younger, because that probably was how I would have reacted to somebody when I was like earlier on, and just like, oh, like I need to lose weight and get in better shape and do these things. Like, what are you doing? Like, will that work for me? Instead of like, what works for me?
Yeah. And I think that's true in my life for lots of things. Like, how can I, get this business to work? What are you doing? Like, what are you doing with your weight? That sort of thing. Yeah. Like like of course you see it's great to have people like model the things that you want, but then it can be hard to see too. I was gonna say the best I ever felt was when I was weightlifting too. And I think for me, aside from feeling strong, which is like really empowering, but it was I like was connecting how my body mechanics and how things work and realizing what it could do versus in the past it was always just like either training because I was in a sport and like that's just what you do. I didn't like connect the dots or trying to use exercise as a form to stay really thin, like and not like thinking about what it was doing. And like when you're lifting weights, you have to be careful. And I did not just from lifting weights, but I did get hurt at one point, and that was like a big moment for me too to realize like that I wasn't understanding how my muscles are working, how to protect it and stuff. So I think there was a lot of that because for the first time I had like gratitude for what my body could do, whereas that had probably never crossed my mind up until that point.
Yeah, I think the same exact thing. Like it was just this different perspective you got. And I used to call it, I used to say to people like lifting weights is my yoga. Like lifting weights is
Yeah.
very grounding to me. Like it's methodical and you sit there, it's a slow process. Like I would be at the gym for like an hour and a half. Sometimes I do a little cardio too, but I would just be like you lift weights and then you kind of take a break and then you do
Yeah.
it again and you're just like and you're really present for it. Um and so that's like I think the same for me. Like I just started to kind of have this appreciation for what my body could do. How I loved when like the I remember this old guy one time came over to me and was like, I can't believe you just lifted all that weight over your head. Like that was really impressive. I was like, thank you. Thank you. I
Yes.
didn't know
Yeah.
I could do that
Yeah.
either. This is so great. And just having like really actually focusing on your body and your muscles and all the different parts of your body rather than just kind of like going out and running and not really connecting,
Right.
which some people I'm sure connect that way. It was never the way I connected, you know. And I related it to like yoga because the way people would speak about what they got from yoga, I was like, oh, I get that from weights. Like that's my thing.
Well, I will say I'm in my head a lot between being I think an air sign and then just anxiety and everything else. And so sometimes I really do need something to like snap me out of it. And like lifting weights, like you really you don't want to get hurt. Like it's things are really heavy. Like and I think that's true too. I mean, I've done everything like because I also get bored of stuff. So like I think that can be true too of like Pilates on a reformer because that's also super hard at times too. But for me, I think yoga is great and all, but there's still like enough room for my brain to just wander and like
Yeah.
it's not like gonna snap me out enough, although it was really great at times. So it's like those seasons and moments and stuff too. But
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And the other thing for me was hiking, like because I just being out in nature for me is just a healing experience in itself. And there was something about I started to notice how much my body could handle. Like we started doing these really
Mm,
big mountains and I could like run up some of the parts or I could like climb these things and I was like, "Oh, like my body can do amazing things."
yeah.
And how great is this? And I have the energy to do it. And um so I won't say that I don't kind of grieve that sometimes right now
Yeah.
where I'm at because I would be lying if I said
Yeah.
like I love my body all the time
Yeah.
because that's not the reality. Like this has been a frustrating year and a half on many levels
Yeah.
um and even though I know this is like this protection, it's like okay, but I really want to feel like that again. Like I want to feel that energy, that strength and get back there. And so then it's like okay, well what are the steps to get there instead of like stressing about it and overthinking it.
Yeah, I get like that too. Like for me, that time period was also just like really beautiful because I went to this gym with my sister and one of my best friends. And so it was like community too. And I'm a very like accountability driven kind of person. So like if they were going, I was going. If they weren't going, I might not go. And so it was just like fun. And we had goals at the time, like that we were working up towards, and that felt like really good. We made it. And then I hurt my back really badly. Like I said, it wasn't just a kettlebell thing. It was from years of poor posture and stuff too, but it just never was really the same after that. And then I had babies and stuff. So it's inconvenient to get to, but I do miss that. And I miss like what my body could do and that feeling and that strength. But I also, just like anything else, like am trying to be really realistic now too. And like, I just started going on walks with my kids at 5 o'clock every day now, like not anything crazy, but it's made such a big difference in my day, because that is really grounding for me, because I have to watch them, make sure they don't run into the street. Like they're like noticing all these little things and like having this just joy in it. And I'm like, this is fine. This is moving my body. This is working for me right now. And maybe there'll be a season where I go back and lift weights again, but that's not where it is right now. And that's okay.
Yeah, it is. It's about finding what works for you, because I actually have back issues too, which is related to my digestive stuff and all the stuff I've been putting through my nervous system. I've been dealing with a lot of childhood trauma the past 2 years. So it's kind of like just activated my nervous system to be a little tense. So lifting weights sometimes doesn't feel good for my body now. But I still go out for my nature walks, or like the first, starting like when we went into like stay at home orders, I went and like basically lived at my sister's house, and they live on the lake we grew up in that we had our cottage on. And so I would take my nephew out for walks every single day. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times I'd take him out for a 3-mile walk, and then I'd have my sister come get him, and then I'd go for another 5 miles. And I would just like, I would listen to a podcast or music, or I would just like have like memories of like being there when I was a kid. And and it was really, sometimes like walking is just not a thing I like to do at all, but like for that time it was so grounding for me. And so, I think that absolutely we have different seasons where we, have different things that really, work well for our bodies.
Yeah, I agree for sure. Well, let's talk about your style for a minute, and then I want to talk about like the work that you do as a photographer too, because we talked about that a little bit on your podcast, how that relates. But what's something you have that you feel really good in when you wear it, or it's like your go-to
right now?
No, not thinking right now, but like, or it could be anytime. Something that you've had, like what's like your thing, like what's made you feel really good about yourself, even if it's like something small. Like I put on these earrings before I did this, because I was
love those earrings. I've been wanting to say something about those earrings.
Now I look dressed up because I put these earrings on.
So a few things I don't go on camera without is I always just put mascara on. Actually, I have more makeup on today, but I feel really good when I just put some mascara on to brighten up my eyes. I have some earrings. I have a ton of earrings. So like I just pick whatever feels great in the moment. Jewelry is a big one for me. I feel like even when I'm not like super happy with what I'm putting on for clothes, like that I put jewelry on and I'm like, oh, I really love this. And it makes me feel really good. But I have I told you that I have like a few like these like cover up things. They're like sheer, and like I wore those all summer because they just felt good, especially since I'm like having these kind of feelings with my body right now. Like it felt good, and I love the colors, and it felt flowy and feminine, and that made me feel really good. I'm trying to think of what else.
That does seem like your like signature, I think, are those, they're like kind of like kimono-y, like cover up. No, but that's like,
and I need more. I need more of them or something. I don't know. Well, now it's gonna be winter, so you'll see me a lot of sweaters. But
have you? I'm kind of going off the cuff here, but what about like things that you feel like have like stuck energy that you've maybe gotten rid of, or have you noticed that like when you've held on to something for a while, like feeling like stuck in your style?
Well, not recently, but like I used to always go towards, and I would notice that it would like happen again and again. I would go towards like only dark colors, right? And then I would be like, why do I have nothing with color? Like I'd be specifically like, somebody would say like, wear something with this color in it today or something. I'm like, I don't even have anything with that color. Like, And then I would be like, have to go buy some stuff with color and get rid of some of this, some of this black stuff. Like,
I'm there right now. Yeah.
yeah, that's a big one for me. And actually I just got rid of, a bunch of clothes. This is so bad. I had, I mean, years and years and years worth of clothes, like all the different sizes. Like it didn't even like, and I didn't even have any intention of wearing these clothes again, but they were sitting in a storage closet.
Yeah.
And I just was like, I'm going to donate them. I'm going to donate them. And all of a sudden recently I've been like, everything needs to go. Like I'm moving too, but it was just like the
Yeah.
sense of like, everything needs to go. Like all the stuff that like, it feels like it's trapped energy. Like it needs to
Yeah.
go. And so I've been like donating different stuff to different places. Like I did ThreadUp and I did,
Mm-hmm.
just regular donations. And sort of clearing that out was really good because I went through it all. And then I started to go through the clothes I have,
Yeah.
that are in my drawers and in my regular closet. And I was like, do I really need this? Like I kept things that I absolutely love because I am trying to work my way back to
Yeah.
wearing them.
Yeah.
And I was like, but I don't need to keep it all. Like I can buy new things in these sizes. I just need to keep the things that I absolutely love. I don't need to hold on to all of this because of this like thing that's going on in my head about my body now and my body then. Like, so that was really, that felt really healing, like to
Yeah.
do that.
For
Absolutely.
sure. Yeah. Whenever I go through something, or even I like this morning, maybe it's yesterday, Penny, my daughter, picks out clothes for me a lot of days. And she picked out this one dress and I was like, yeah, sure. And put it on. And I was like, this just isn't doing it for me anymore. And I think it was like this weird in between fit. Like either it needed to be a lot bigger and like hang more, or it needed to be tighter. But it was like this weird in between one. I was holding on to it because it was like kind of expensive at the time. And it's like knit and comfy and no biggie. And I was like, what? Like, let's just like, let's literally go put this in the pile right now. It felt so much better just to be like, okay, you made that decision instead of like, I've probably done that 3 or 4 times and it's still there, right? Just like time to let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember there was this pair of pants I had a few years ago that I loved. And because I tried them on and loved them in the store, and then I brought them home. And realistically, they were dressier than what I typically do. Like it
Yeah.
just was like, and I couldn't find the right shirt to go with them. They were more high. And I spent a long time looking for a shirt that I liked with these pants, and I would bring shirts home and then return them. And then finally I was like, why am I keeping these pants? Like, why are they here? Like,
Yeah.
I don't need them. So I donated them, but, stuff like I've done that stuff like that a lot, where I've gone out and bought something that I'm like, oh, I really love this, but haven't really thought it through. Like, what am I doing with this? Like,
That I
and
have
do
that
I
a
have
lot.
something
Yeah.
that
Because I
goes
love
with
so
it?
many things. Yeah. So color though, and you said, it's wearing black. You told me on your podcast that that's something you help in your photography sessions, right? Especially, you said especially like very new mothers and what to wear. But do you want to, I thought it might be kind of nice for you to share that too, if
Yeah.
that's help people with that. Yeah.
So even before I started my soul sessions, like I do newborn sessions. And so, new moms are not exactly like super comfortable in the body.
No.
So for many reasons, and, anybody watching, check out the podcast episode where, on my podcast, because we talked about this more extensively,
Yeah.
how moms feel. And so I've always, helped them through that process, like where, I tell them like, yes, it would be great to add some color in, but they can be like in an accessory or something, or like the baby can have color, and you can put, some blues or something, or purples or whatever color you want on, your husband or your partner, and the kids. And then if you feel best in black or white or whatever the color is, great. But wear whatever you actually feel good in that day. Pick a few things that you think you like,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
wait until that morning. You can call me, you can text me, you can send me a picture of the things.
Yeah.
I'll help you. And I feel like that took the pressure off. Like they were just like, oh, okay. Like, so I don't have to like get dressed up. And I'm like, if you want to, if that will
Yeah.
make you feel good, then yes, absolutely do it. But you can be in leggings. Like we're gonna, plus I photograph I try purposely to get like more of the upper body because I'm more about the connection anyway. So when we're
Yeah.
holding the baby, I'm not focusing in on the entire body anyway. So I'm very careful about angles, but also I like to grab some that maybe they might not think are as flattering, and I do that with specific connection between them and the baby, and I find that they end up loving them. And I don't think they would if it wasn't for if it was just them in the picture, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
there's something about what you're doing with that photo, and that moment that changes like how they view themselves. So that's really
I love that.
special.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then in the soul sessions, I do it more through the healing that we do beforehand, and the visualization and meditation that I walk them through. They actually see what they're wearing, and sometimes if that's not going to be, if that doesn't come out as clear, um, then I have things that I'll send, like things that come up for me that I
Yeah.
think are gonna be what the outfit should be, and then I'll send ideas, or I have some stuff on hand that I sometimes use. So yeah, it's so easy to do. It's easier to do for somebody else than it is for you.
It is. I have that with myself too.
Yeah.
Yeah. For
Like
like,
if I get my picture taken, I'm like,
yeah, for every day I'm good. I know what I like, that not that I don't change my mind, some days and stuff, but yeah, for like photos, it's a whole nother ball game. It's kind of funny. It's like opposite. Even though I wear a lot of black day to day, whenever we get our photos taken, my husband's like his closet is way more white, black, and gray than mine, and I just know for the photo he's going to be wearing like a black, nice looking like sweatshirt and his jeans and one of his pairs of shoes, and like that's it. So I'm like I have to be the one with color. I have to plan around that, but I mean that gives me more freedom too. I just think it's funny. I've noticed we do them yearly of our family now. I'm like, I think you were wearing that last year too, but that's cool. The kid's not gonna just like switch it up every year, so I think that's funny.
yeah,
I like what you're saying too about getting some photos maybe like further out or where you do see more of it, because I also think it's really hard in the moment to know what you're going to like years later. So I was nursing my daughter when we had newborn-ish photos taken, and the photographer asked by mine. She took some photos, and I was like, oh, that's fine. But I was like, when I saw him, I was like, about it. And now later, like, I'm so glad I have those, because I
yeah.
wouldn't have a visual memory of that any other time. So I was like so happy they captured that moment, even though maybe that's not me looking at my best or things like that, but it was just like really nice to have that.
Yeah, there's like the angle, you're like usually sitting, and like there's different
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
angles are the best. But I've done them, and I did my sister when my nephew was younger. Um, we did two times. I did breastfeeding photos for her, and they're amazing. Like
Yeah.
we love them so much. And
Yeah.
then I made her husband get he wore a bathing suit, and I made him get in the shower with Lucas on his chest in the shower. For like I was like, I need this black and white photo. Like I am just envisioning it. Like I need you to put on a bathing suit and get in the shower.
Oh, I love that. I mean, when it's family, you can like totally
Yeah.
get some things like that, right? Oh, it's awesome. Yeah, well, we're kind of coming up to the end of time. I usually like to give people a chance if there's anything else you want to say or leave people with. I think it's been really lovely to hear your own story, but also like how you've worked with other people. I think it's just been like really beautifully done.
Thank you. I would just say that just what I said earlier, like that have grace with yourself and give your body the love it needs wherever you're at now, but
Yeah.
also kind of explore. And I think that for a lot of people, no matter what their body is, if they feel if they've lost a lot of weight, if they gained weight, if they don't really know what their I don't even know what to call it. What do we call it? I don't want to say like your ideal, because
I don't know
that's
what I
not
call it
right.
either. I'm just always like kind of like where your body likes to settle.
Yeah, where
Yeah.
your body feels its absolute best
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
energetic, right? So a lot of people you might not even know what that is, and
Right.
that's okay. So I think that there is a lot of healing that can be done that really helps you discover that. And also really connecting with your body. Like I never did that before. And now at all different stages, I have like really, I communicate with my body. I talk to it. Like, thank
Mm,
you. Thank you for getting me through the day. And
yeah.
even though you struggled to get up that mountain last month, like you still did it and you were great. Like, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
And just showing, grace to yourself and being thankful to your body, but also that it's okay to feel frustrated. Like, if
Yeah.
you're in a place where like you don't have to just love your body every second of every day. You don't.
Right.
Like, and that's okay too, because everybody has a different story, and it's absolutely okay.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with all of it. I resonate with all of it. Yeah. I was thinking something I didn't mention before that popped into my head, but when you're talking about like being frustrated with your body for not like being where you want it to be, I felt that way about weight, but I've often felt that way about like physical, medical issues. I'm sure you have too with like your digestive issues, right? Like, why can't I figure out how to like heal this or make it perform in the way I want it to? And sometimes that's a whole journey too. That it's just like you said, like it's okay to be frustrated too, and just be grateful for, not grateful, but have some gratitude, like for just my legs carrying me around every day. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Your body carries you around. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something magical, like, because you can be frustrated, and then the key is to be aware of that frustration, to let it come out. Like, I don't
Yeah.
stop my frustration. Like, if I need to cry about it or get mad
Yeah.
about it, then I do. Like, because that's important. It's important not to just push it away and just be like,
Right.
oh no, you have to love your body, can't be frustrated. Like, no, feel the frustration, feel the, if you're grieving, if whatever it is, and then in that you find like, okay, well now I can also, point out the good things like that my body is doing, and find those ways that your body is serving you. Like, I have a deep appreciation for, I for years I've brought myself back to this when I've been frustrated about things that like I can't do for like I can't hike a mountain the way I could 3 years ago. Like, this summer
Yeah.
was really tough. And I was out there and my body was in actual pain. Like, I don't know why I agreed to do this. My boyfriend was like, I thought you were going to cancel. And I was like, I almost did, but I knew how bad you wanted to do it. And I was like, I'm going to do it. And so I was up there and I had this thought, like, my cousin is a quadriplegic. And I'm like, he can't do this. So, and you
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
and thank you. Thank you for doing this. I know you're
Right.
hurt. I know you're in pain, but we're getting through this. And then I'm going to give you a great ice bath after this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's both. It's where, and coming up on the podcast, when I talk about this, we're going to talk about specific things, but just this whole concept of like, it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Yeah.
There's always, and like, we're always at one end of the
Yeah.
spectrum, and we need more in the middle, where it's like, you can be frustrated with your body and you can show it some love.
Yeah.
And those don't have to necessarily be happening at the exact same time, but they can start to come more together and happen,
Ooh, I love that. I
more
say all the
aligned.
time to people, I feel like I operate in extremes, like
We
always.
all do.
And yeah, I love that reminder because yeah, things are always going to be fluid. There's gray area. And it's like you said, like getting closer to that. That's when I feel more at peace, when I'm like much more balanced for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Oh, I see Chelsea commenting saying it's so golden. Yes, it is. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Again,
Thank
you guys
you.
should totally check out Nicole's Instagram, Soul Healing Sisterhood, but also her podcast. You can listen to me on it, just for funsies if you want, and everything else
That
coming
was such a
up.
fun episode.
It was. When I listened to it yesterday, I was like, oh, that was so much fun. It was so good. And then if you wanted to, if you had any questions, if you want to be on one of these Body Love chats, I don't have any scheduled for October. I might skip to November, but feel free to DM me. And if you're looking for any style body support, you can check out the link in bio, or always DM me as well, because I would be so excited to work with any of you. So thank you so much, Nicole. It was good
Thank
chatting with you.
you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.